as there is no separate law for gender-based violence within the anti-caste laws in India, there is a lot of confusion as to while filing the cases or taking it to the court. So it's highly important for a separate law that deals with the rape of Dalit women, deals with the rapes of women at the margins of both caste and gender. As a person who's been on the field, who's worked on issues of Dalit women rapes even before the Hathras has happened, I would say that there's almost always a pattern when this happens, and it's very much in the hands of, it's easy for the society, to the government, the legal systems in a particular region to identify it. So it is truly, in sense, preventable also. The first thing I would be is if for a society like ours to really connect and understand the links between caste and gender. Caste exists because of patriarchy, and patriarchy exists because of caste in India. So the first thing is, as a society of activists and feminists and anti-casteist people and human rights defenders, it's important for us to link these aspects. And I think that is the first step after Hathras that we need to take as a civil rights movement, as a society that is coming together. And I think that is important in sense. For example, in this particular case, you can see that, the perpetrators, the family of the perpetrators have been doing atrocities, have been committing atrocities against Dalits in the region even before this happened. And then we can see from latest statements from the families and from the neighbors, we can see how Manisha, after a while, wanted to stay inside her home. The victim did not want to leave her house because she was scared of something. And this was noted from a retrospective perspective. But this is something that is very often noted, where a girl child, doesn't want to go outside or doesn't want to leave her house because she's facing some form of harassment. And in this case, it was from upper caste men, which it makes it, doubly, triply difficult for the girl to open her mouth and say. So I think it's important for us in a community to identify the signs of patriarchal and casteist aggression specifically against young girls and women. So I think that is the first step. And the second would be definitely systemic change, I would say. When we were talking about this, when we were looking at various approaches the legal system offers, we really felt that maybe there needs to be some legal reform. But truly, the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes Atrocities Act exists. It's already there. And there's also a plethora of laws. But what happens is that the first thing that the police does is to refuse to even register or, take up the FIR, to note it down. That's what they do, which means even at the first step, systematically, within a legal system like institution like police, we are failing. Why is it not being looked into? Often in these cases, the perpetrators are the dominant caste from a particular region, and more often the police station or the police are from also the dominant castes in that region. And then the district courts or the local panchayats and the judiciary system, there too we find that. So there's this huge network of casteism, and that's why there is high rates of impunity in Dalit women rape cases. And I think this can only be corrected if we look into our systemic failures right now. As you can see in the Hathras case, as you can see in all the cases before, and probably this might be repeated in the cases to come until there is a overhaul of these structures, such as the police and such as the local panchayats and courts. And thirdly, a legal reform is highly necessary at this point, because any Dalit women rape case, for example, when they go and file it, it's immediately filed under the rape laws in India, which is not the case. This is an SC/ST atrocities, and it needs to be under the SC/ST Atrocities Act. And therefore, why is this confusion happening? Because, as a woman, since this is a gender-based violence, the police sometimes might be also unaware to put it under the SC/ST Atrocities Act. Sometimes they might wantedly do it because the SC/ST Atrocities Act requires immediate action against the perpetrators. This might be both ways. So what's happening here is because as there is no separate law for gender-based violence within the anti-caste laws in India, there is a lot of confusion as to while filing the cases or taking it to the court. So it's highly important for a separate law that deals with the rape of Dalit women, deals with the rapes of women at the margins of both caste and gender. So I think this would be the third step or the legal reform that can happen. And hopefully, if these three changes, the social changes, the community aspect to it, of course, which is the first step towards transformative justice, and secondly, the systemic reform, and thirdly, the legal reform, hopefully, it would really, hopefully, fingers crossed, would really help prevent Dalit women rapes in the future.